Okay, so A-frame is a simple class that has a little bit of graphics going on. So what there's a timer and an associated task. Now, timer task is an abstract superclass. So if I want to actually have a task, I create a subclass of it, in this case called A task for A-frame. And the nice thing about that is you're automatically going to want to override timer task's basic run method. So you put whatever you want the timer task to do inside this run method, and that's what it does. Okay, so the other thing, when you want to create a timer task, okay, anytime you want to do that, you have this timer object and you can schedule a task. So the basic format for one of these scheduling methods is the task you want to begin and then the delay you want to have it in milliseconds. So a delay of 0 means do it right now. And then a cyclical pattern, right, of 20 seconds or 20 milliseconds. So every 20 milliseconds, this thing repeats. Now, when I get tired of having this task be around, it can destroy itself, right? So I could, if I wanted to, I could dispose of it. But the easier way to do it is just a T cancel. So when I cancel the overarching timer itself, it automatically gets rid of any associated tasks that it's managing, okay? So essentially what I have here, I can run this. I have this window and a ball that moves around. So I have 3 buttons, go, stop, and back. If I press go, it starts going that way. If I start pressing back, it starts going back. I can press go, I can stop, I can resume. Okay, so unlike the example we did the other day, this one, because I'm using timer and timer task, I can handle multiple threads within my GUI. That makes life a lot simpler. Okay, so we'll look a little bit into how the actual code works. So, you know, the buttons, the panel itself, that's not too exciting. Basically, I have a panel that I set onto it. I use a custom class A panel so that I can have custom graphics. And then I add the 3 buttons, JB go, JB stop, JB back. Each one of those I add to the panel, and I assign the A-frame object itself as the action listener. Okay, the real stuff happens in the action performed, because that's all you do. You press buttons and make things happen. We'll get back to that. So A panel, I have a Boolean there for running, which apparently I don't really need. Yeah, it's not going to make a difference. But every panel has an associated task. So for that task, that's this one ball moving back and forth. Okay, and so when I create the panel, I create the task itself as well. The task exists, but it's not doing anything. It's not doing anything until I include it in some timer cycle. And I have the usual custom graphics method. So paint component. First of all, I call super.paint component to paint the panel in the usual way. And then in the color blue, I paint an oval on it. So every time the graphics gets repainted, it gets done from fresh, right? It gets done, first it paints the basic panel, and then it paints this stuff on top of it wherever I want. So that creates the image of animation, because each 20 millisecond cycle, that ball is being painted in a new location. Timer task itself, right? Here's the what happens. There's 2 Booleans there. One Boolean is for whether it's running, which means whether the ball is moving or not. And another one is for whether it's going, right? Whether it's going forward or going back. So if go is true, it's going left to right. If go is false, it's going right to left. The constructor method, I assign a parent object to this. So what I wanted to do with this basic problem, how do I get the task itself to update or repaint the panel it's on? Okay, this is actually kind of a problem. So this is one thing that you might struggle with. So if the panel is a data field of the task, then I have this weird situation. Basically, I have a weird situation where the panel only exists if the task does. which is kind of a strange thing, right? I have to create the task, but then I create the panel around it. It doesn't make that much sense. But if the task is a data field of the panel, then there's no direct way to access the panel through the tasks methods, right? Without using a static method, for example, for the entire class. So this is a bit of a problem. So the way I do it, solution, is basically make the panel's reference available to the task. So in the constructor, I send along the reference to the panel itself. And this is analogous, I should add, this is analogous to the object that's sent along when you create a box layout. Remember, we saw the box layout the other day, and the first argument you send along is the object on which the box layout is going to appear. So same kind of reason, so that the box layout object can have access to all of that data of the thing that it's on. Same kind of thing here. So in our code, right, I have a parent object for this A task, and the parent is just the A panel on which that A task object is running. So this allows me, within the method, I can just say parent.repaint. So whatever object I'm sitting on top of, whatever A panel I'm sitting on top of, I just automatically repaint that. Very simple. Okay. Now, what goes on here in the action performed method, I have a few things. So first I check to see, did somebody press the go button? Or if not, did somebody press the back button? Or if not, did somebody press the stop button, right? Those are the three buttons that can be pressed. I got to check for all those. For the go button, if the task isn't running, right, if there's nothing going on, if it's stopped, then I create a new timer because I know there won't be a timer if it's not running. I set the running Boolean to true, and I set go to true, so it's going to move left to right. And then I'm going to schedule a repeating task, so every 20 seconds, it's going to cycle through that drawing method. It's going to redraw this, you know, and increment it, and yeah, if running right here, and it's going to repaint the thing. Similarly, if the button pressed is back, again, I check if it's running. If it's not running, then I create the new timer, set the running to true, but I set go equal to false, indicating that it's going to move from right to left. And then I schedule, again, the repeated task so it moves every 1 pixel every 20 milliseconds. Otherwise, right, if the task is running, just like here, if the task is running, I set go to true. So if it's already running, whether it's moving left to right or right to left, I say, now you're going to go left to right. Same thing here. If it was already going right to left or left to right, I don't care. But if it's running, then I'm going to set that go to false, so it starts moving right to left. Last one, if somebody presses stop, then I set the task running to false because it's not running anymore, and I cancel it, and then I recreate the task as a new thing, right? So a new task, again, with the parent panel that it's on, AP, and then ap.task.x, I send along the x parameter for, that's the current location of the ball. Okay, so that's pretty simple how this works, right? We see how the buttons go, zzz, zzz, zzz. But just to show you that I can do this with multiple ones, I'll add in a simple up and down ball as well. So first thing, I'll add in a couple more buttons. So again, JB up and JB down. Those are my two new buttons. Okay, so just like I had here, I'm going to add on a new one. So right here, I'm going to say replace go down. Whoop. Didn't mean to do that. Go down. Okay, and I'm going to put lowercase. Okay, and then once again, I'm going to replace down with up. I'm hitting Control F there, by the way. So down gets replaced with up. And this will be up. Okay, so I have a couple new buttons. Now, next thing I got to do on this A panel, I got to add another round of graphics to it. So let's say the other ball can be yellow. Okay, so I'll do, and I'll give it a Y coordinate, but that'll eventually work. So let's see. I'll give it another, that's fine. What do I, one thing I could give this a separate task, or I could make it run on the same task. And I'm going to say I'm going to give it a separate task. So I'm going to give it a B task. I call it task 2. Okay, which is not the most elegant way of doing it, but I'm going to make a separate one, class B task also extends timer task. And I'm going to give this an int y, and very similar, Boolean running and Boolean up. Okay, whether it's going, yeah, actually I should do Boolean down because that's the way the numbers increase rather. And then an A panel parent. Okay, so we'll get some of that stuff going. Oh, it needs a run, so I got to implement that run method as well. Okay, so there's that. Ta-da. And ta-da, we're just going to get rid of that. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Now what we got to do when we draw this thing, okay, we're going to do another color. So g.set color, and we'll color it yellow. And then g.fill oval task 2.y, comma, what, we'll start off at 100, I guess, that's fine. And 50, 50. Okay, so it's going to draw this extra ball. So I can at least see if this is going on. And I'll need to, oh yeah, I'll say task 2 equals new B task, this dot, I guess I can draw 0 as well. So that's the pixels. So I got to put that constructor there. So B task is going to be very similar here. Yes, Vivi, I'm lecturing. Okay, 1 second. Apparently my daughter needs something. Vivi? Oh, I guess not. Okay, so let's just make sure it looks correct. We can go from there. No, there's something. I can't see the errors in the margin. So let's see what we got here. Oh, sure. All right, now let's try. Didn't want that. But, oh yeah, duh. Okay. Let's do X at 300. We don't really care. Okay, let's see how that goes. All right, good. So we got our yellow ball in the middle. Maybe we'll put it at like 180 there. Should be out of the way of those buttons. Mostly. Great. Okay, so we got a yellow ball, and that's very exciting. Now, if I do down and up, right, of course, nothing is happening yet because I haven't done anything with that. So let's fill those in a bit. So that will be in our action performed, right? So I have a couple more. Else if e dot get source equals JB down, right? That's one option. Or else if e dot get source equals JB up. Okay, so different things are going to happen there, but it's going to be pretty similar, right? The basic logic of it is going to be the same. So I'm going to implement this stuff in the in this run. It'll be a little different, but it'll be quite similar. So I'll say if y is less than 535. That gives enough room for it to appear on the screen and down, right? Because that's the way it's going down. Then I increment y and repaint the parent. Otherwise, if y is greater than 0 and not down, right, I'm going to decrement y. So this down, right, this down Boolean represents whether the ball is going down on the panel, and thus if its y coordinate is increasing, right? If it's moving downward, its y coordinate is increasing. Or as long as y is greater than 0, it hasn't bumped up against the top of the window, and the downward, it's not moving downward, then I can decrement y. In either case, I'm going to repaint it. Okay, then all I got to do here is fill in this stuff, right? And for this one, I'm actually going to do both of these. I'm going to cancel both of these because I can add multiple tasks to a timer. So I'll do ap.task2 equals new b task, and ap.task2.y. So I'll use I'll put in some code there, write some comments. Use the current x and y coordinates of the ball for the new task. Okay, so that's what we have there. Okay, but in either way, I'm going to cancel both of those. So if I say move down, that's equivalent to go. So let's change some of this. I'm going to borrow some code. I'll get to the chat in just a second. So if ap.task2 is running, okay, here's where the problem is, right? I have to see if they're both not running, okay? Otherwise, what do? I have to schedule in a new task. This is a bit of a problem. I got to cross these two. Let's talk. Okay. Well, A-frame, yes, I'm going to put the A-frame code up there. It'll be fun for everybody. Yes. Okay. So what I got to be careful of, I'm going to have multiple things going on with this timer. So I can't just destroy the timer. I mean, I can, but I can't just check to see if it's running. All right, so what I can see if this one is, all right, what do we have here? If it's down, if this one isn't running, then I have to check for whether I need a new timer or not. So first I'll say if T, okay, well, what I should say is also if the other one isn't running. If not ap.task.running, then this. Okay, otherwise I already have a timer. So first thing, if no other task running, create the new timer. Otherwise, I'm just going to go with the one that's already there, right? Otherwise, I know timer T already exists and can just insert the new task. Okay, so in that case, running is true, app.down, app.task2.running is true, app.task2.down is true. And I'm going to schedule this one 2. Okay, so that's all this is. Otherwise, if ap.task2 is running, then, so if the task is already running, right, then I don't have to worry about anything. And I just say app.task2.down is true. Okay, so I'm going to implement this one thing. I'm just going to check to see if the downward motion works correctly. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the corresponding updates to the existing ones. I know those are going to be kind of messed up. If I do down, it seems to work. Okay, let's make sure it stops when it hits the bottom though. A little low. So things get a little screwy with the borders on these things. I got to bump it back up about 60 pixels or so. So where did I have that at? B task, less than 535. Let's try 475. Let's see how that goes. We want to get this to go approximately down the right height. Da, 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 da. Oh, wow, it's way high. All right. Now we're going to get in the middle. Let's try 505. And do a quick binary chop here to get to where we want to be. Yeah, I can bump it back like 5 pixels, and I think that's right. Okay, so if y is less than 500 and down, that's good. That's where I stop. Now, I'm going to do the same thing for JB up. Again, most of this I can set up. Also, if this one, let's do this. If I press .ap.task2.running equals false, I'm going to just go ahead and put that in there. So this stuff I'm going to copy over because it's going to be structurally the same. So if the task isn't running, then I need to create the new timer, right? Again, if it's not already, if T is not already running. And then I set it running to true, but then down is going to be equal false, right? Because it's going to be moving back up again. And then again, I just schedule that task. Otherwise, if it is running, I simply schedule it as false because it's already up and running. So let's check that. Now the up and down should work. So down, up, down, up, down, up, stop, down, up. Let's let it float all the way to the top and see if that goes correctly. Boom. There we go. Great. Okay, last thing, I'm going to coordinate it with this, these ones. So again, all I have to do here, I have to check and see. I only create a new timer if this thing isn't running, right? So again, if this, then T is a timer. So I'm going to borrow that line. I'll even borrow the comment. Why not? Okay. So that goes away though. If ap.task2 is running, I create a new timer. Otherwise, I don't worry about that. Okay, same thing here. Otherwise, the timer already exists, and I can insert the new task. Okay, same thing going on here down below. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I did this all correctly and it works great. Let's find out. Okay, so go, great, down. They're doing their thing. Up, down, back, down, up, go, bump. All right. So the point is, you can have a whole bunch of things going on if you set the, lets everybody freeze. And freeze. Okay, so the wonderful thing is with these timers and timer task subclasses, you can have this sort of animation going on in your little Java windows. I'm not saying Java should be your preferred application language for creating video games, but it's certainly someplace you could go ahead and try working on that if you wanted to. If you wanted to design some apps in Java and then maybe port them to JavaScript once you get them up and running the way you want, yeah, that's something that you could potentially do. Okay, but the main point about this, you know, I've tried to present this in kind of a fun and interesting way. Oh, holy crap, you're Darth Vader now. Well, happy Halloween to you, dude. My son is actually the, let's bring you up here. Let's let everybody say hi to you. We're gonna spotlight you. There you go. What's happening, Darth? Talk to me. Are you my father? Are you someone's father? Yeah. Anyway, so actually, fun thing, my son's going out as the Mandalorian this year, and I splurged a little bit and bought a couple of those industrial grade lightsabers that, you know, make the sounds and everything. So we're going to go out there and fight a little bit in the dark tonight. That's the thing. Yeah, he's probably got some too. He's probably got some $500 one that, yep, there you go. He's got the Kylo Ren.
Yeah, my Darth Vader one is low on battery.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun night. So anyway, what I was doing with all this, I was introducing the concepts of multi-threading, introducing the concepts of timers to deal with that. You know, people don't really spend a lot of time making these GUIs in Java, but it's a fun way to introduce the concepts of multi-threading and timers and interfaces and all that. So you guys want to play around with this, I'll post up A-frame, and who knows, maybe one of you guys will design the next Pong or something. I don't know. Okay, but this is it. This is pretty much all I have to say today. Unless you got questions about this. Anything? Something? Nothing? We're all good? All right, so sometime over the next, tonight, by this evening, I'll have posted up the new assignment if you want to take a look at that. And the final point, since the stuff doesn't change much, all right, so we have two things. Number one, we can't just post up the solution to module assignment 3 right away, because there could still be people waiting to turn it in late. However, we'll post it up after Wednesday. So like, you know, after midnight on Wednesday, we'll post up the solution to module 3 in case, you know, you want to check and make sure you can use that as the basis for integrating it into your assignment. But if you already did a good job on module 3 and you want to just go ahead and get started, that's fine too. Okay. Questions on any of that? Otherwise, that's all I got. Have a good weekend. Have fun, but don't have too much fun. Don't go to jail, that sort of thing. Anybody? We're all good? We're all good. Okay. I'll see you next week then.